Hey guys and gals, Von Baden here with Nightmare Creations. Another week has went by and here we are. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing, so stay tuned for all of that. Alrighty, like I said, this video is going to be a little bit different than what we have been doing. I'm going to cover something I'm working on. Well, I'm working on several things, but some of my thought process that I put into the props that I work on and the masks that I make and all of that. I kind of come at it from the stance that I do even with my magic performances. For me, with magic and with props, it's all about building the story. I want my prop to tell a story even if I don't say anything. If there's not a card that says da 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 about this, I want the prop to be able to speak for itself. Just like with magic, I want my magic to tell a story even if I don't. So a lot of different things that I build are going towards things that I do in my magic show. I'm working on the Daybreaker Sword, which is part of the character that is the king, quote unquote, for the throne of Erebus. And of course I'm going to be the king who sits on the throne of Erebus, and the throne of Erebus is an illusion. It's a magic illusion that's for my stage show, and I need to have everything match up. So when I started to build that character, I started to think about what's he going to be, what kind of look is he going to have. So you start thinking about it, Throne of Erebus, you're talking, you know, warriors and things of that nature. So, sorry, that was the dryer. So he needs to have a suit of armor, which I'm working on. The helmet, I did make a crown a year or so back, and it was kind of cool and everything, but it seemed like it was missing something, and then it just didn't fit the character. So the Daybreaker Sword, and this is kind of where I'm gonna kind of go off, so please stick with me on this one. The Daybreaker Sword is actually loosely based, and I'll show you the Daybreaker Sword again in case you don't remember, but it is loosely based on this, which is the Blades of Chaos for all of the God of War fans, which is a video game for those who are not. And this Daybreaker Sword is built loosely on that. So when I started working on this, you will see some of the elements of the Blades of Chaos. Granted, the Blades of Chaos in the video game are not really swords per se as far as length goes. A short sword or a dagger, a little bit bigger than a dagger, but they're definitely not your long sword type swords. So this is the Daybreaker Sword, and what I want is, I'm also working on the texture on this, and as you see on this side, this takes forever, all wood burned, but anyways, drifting, sorry. I wanted to have a few things. Where that skull is, up towards the hilt, I'm gonna beef this up for my skull. And those are the thermoplastic teeth. And yes, they are extremely long, and I kind of wanted it that way, and there's reasons, and we'll get into that on a later point in time. Yes, there's some of this is not painted, and there's a reason for that as well. I am going to build up, like I said, the hilt to where this will sit like that on there, and the hilt will be built up to basically right here behind that group of teeth. There'll be electronics that make the eyes light up. There'll be smoke that'll come out through the nose and between the teeth. So I can't really point it at the camera because I'll end up knocking the camera out. But anyways, so basically that's where that's going to sit, and all the electronics will go in the back of the beefy hilt. So why am I telling you all this? A lot of characters are, you know, if you're doing cosplay per se, and you're doing a Sub-Zero costume or build, you're Sub-Zero. Unless you take your own take on it, and you can go a little bit off of that, or you can go way off of it. And then some people will call you out and say that's not Sub-Zero, just like some people will call me out and say that's not the Blades of Chaos. Which, yes, that's true. It's not. It is the Daybreaker Sword. But what I do with my magic, with my builds, is I try to keep to that character and what it is. So this is supposed to be gold, and it is gold-ish. I emphasize the ish part on there. But it's not exactly the color I'm looking for yet. So I'm working on that to get the right color for this skull-ish creature, that when it's all done, it'll be gold, and then I'll come back and I'm gonna grunge it up along with the sword, and I've got some ideas on things I want to do with the sword. So that's that. I'm gonna stop talking about that for a hot second. So if you're building something that is your take on it, never substitute your vision of what you want to fit what everyone else thinks that it should be. For instance, I had done a video a while back. Another prop maker had did a video on, you know, how taking something, a very simple design, and building off of that, and taking your own thoughts and your own ideas and changing it into something different. Well, the mask was more of a the way he took it was basically just like a metal shield over the face, kind of like if you were wearing a helmet and you would have your face protected, you would have one of these kind of on there. And when I was looking at it, and I'll show you mine here in a second, I thought to myself, you know what would be really cool is if that was some kind of beast. So then I started thinking and developing a story and developing my character. So I'm going to tell you what the character is, and then I'll show you what I did, and then you kind of see how, hopefully you'll see how my story matches where I'm at, and where I'm at matches the story if I didn't tell you. Now, this is just a base coat paint on here. There's nothing, no colors yet, but hopefully this will still work. This is a creature who's been on a planet that is war-torn, sorry, and they've modified their appearances to protect them against elements, to protect them against enemies, and this is the direction that I'm going with that build. So this is the mask. Now his had everything except for these ridges here. I'm going to paint a different color and make them look more bone, along with this ridge right here that goes up the middle. The shield down here that goes around underneath the eyes and has rivets that go into the flesh there. This I'm going to take my first crack at. I can do grungy paint, but I want to see what I can do with a rusty look. So I'm gonna rust just that up and do some rustic and see what kind of detail pops from that. Doing a rust look on that, I am gonna go with a grayish skin tone, and then once this is all painted, I'm gonna do some goggles that have been surgically planted into the flesh over the eyes, do some lenses in them to protect his eyes. So after that, I will either I have to get the paint job done to see which way this character is going to go. Is this going to be a character who is in the desert, which he may not have a lot of hair, so he uses a wrap that would wrap around so only his face is sticking out? Or am I going to do a creature who is just savage, an animal, and if the paint makes him look more savage, animal-like, then I'll do some kind of hair coming off of that. Either way, this will look like, there's some areas of it still wet, but it will be the face. So that's where that is at. So if you get anything in holy Toledo, I'm rambling. Sorry about that. I'll try to wrap this up here. Nice pretty bow on it for you. So long and short of everything, and the condensed version of this is that if you're going to go and take your own spin on a creature, let the build kind of tell you which direction your story should tell, and if you stick to your story on your build will come out being exactly what you wanted, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Or I've just kept you sitting here on my channel for nothing at all, and if that's the case, I apologize. So hopefully you found this video interesting, or at least entertaining. If so, go ahead and leave a thumbs up on this video, and I will see you all on the very next video. Thanks.